Okay, so hi everybody. We're sorry for starting so late. We're having quite a few technical difficulties this evening, but we are going to get started now. What's going to be happening this week is we are not only entering Shabbat, we are also in the month of Elul. And the month of Elul is the month of preparing our hearts and our souls for the high holy days of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and Sukkot and Shmini Atzeret. So we have a special prayer book for that, which we're going to be using, and the service will be mostly like our regular Friday night services, except for that there will be a few references to the season that we're entering so that we can have an opportunity to spend some time in contemplation to prepare for the high holidays. So I have the prayer book on the screen, and also those of you here in the sanctuary have the paper version. Folks at home, I think, will only have the screen version. So let's just take a moment. I know I need one. To let go of whatever is aggravating us at this moment, or whatever was aggravating during the week, whether it was very, very busy or whether it was lonely, anything that might have made it heavy for you this week. And let's see if we can put that down and make space for breath and for peace and for Shabbat. We're going to begin on page 6. Before we slip too quickly into the season of the soul, let there be a Sabbath of Sabbaths for the heart. Before the mystery of creation's majesty, let there be a silent praise of existence. Before the feast of sanctified words, let there be a poetry of solitude. Before we enter the palaces of prayer, let us find within ourselves a place of calm. Before we revel in the wondrous and sublime, let there be an honest inward gaze. Before the rites and ceremonies of awe, let there be quieter days, an island of attentiveness. The candle blessing is on pages 10 and 11, and we didn't identify somebody to light the candles. So who would like to have that honor today? Mona, would you? What? I am. I'm twisting your arm. That was me twisting your arm. I'll make a little candle for you. How about that one?
I honor the gift of stillness and rest, the day devoted to peace, peace within my soul. On this day I have everything I need, peace with those around me. On this day I ask no quarrel to strife, peace of earth and sky, green trees and quiet water. I give thanks that I am present in this world. I celebrate the miracle of existence, the breath within me, the beating of my heart, the love that blesses my love.
Amen. Thank you for letting me twist your arm. And let's turn now to page 12 for the Kiddush. Alan, would you come up?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Source of blessing, eternal our God, your majestic power creates the fruit of the vine. Source of blessing, eternal our God, in your majestic power you make our lives holy through your mitzvot. In loving favor you have given us your holy Shabbat, a treasured inheritance to recall the works of creation. First of our sacred assemblies, this day revives memories of our exodus from Egypt. You have chosen us for a unique place among nations, offering us in loving favor your holy Shabbat as our heritage. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen. If you're able, I invite you to rise. You may be seated. Page 21. Two angels follow me home, chesed and gevurah, kindness and judgment, love and discipline. May both dwell within me, gentleness and generosity that expand my soul, firmness and self-restraint, the strength to say no. On this day of shalom, may I be shalem, well-balanced and whole. Lecha Dodi is on page 22.
Ki B'nei Shabbat tekabela, Nachadodi likrat kala. B'nei Shabbat tekabela, Hidoreri, Hivaorekumi ovi, Uri shidaberi, Kevod Adonai alayich nigla, Lachadodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat tekabela, Lachadodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat tekabela, Boi v'shalom v'teret bala, Gad b'simcha v'tzola, Tohim u'neam semula, B'yichala, Nachadodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat tekabela, Nachadodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat tekabela.
Page 25. You may be seated. And will they ever come, days of forgiveness and grace, when you'll walk in the fields, simple wanderer, and your bare soles will be caressed by the clover, or the wheat stubble will sting your feet, and its sting will be sweet. Or the rainfall will catch you, its downpour pounding on your shoulders, your breast, your neck, your head, and you'll walk in the wet fields, quiet widening within like light on the cloud's rim. And you'll breathe in the scent of the furrow, full and calm, and you'll see the sun in the rain pool's golden mirror. And all things are simple and alive. You may touch them, and you are allowed to love. You'll walk in the field, alone, unscorched by the blaze of the fires along roads stiffened with blood and terror. And true to your heart, you'll be again humble and softened, as one of the grass, as one of humankind. The Baruch Hu is on page 26, and I invite you, if you're able, to rise. On page 28, I invite you to read with me. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. page 30. The Shema is on page 32. You may be seated.
ובלכתך
On page 41, let's read together at the top of the page. Crossing the sea. Eternal, watch over my small domain of light and shadow, those few people who share my love and all others upon this earth that sometimes shakes with thunder and reverberates with lightning. Help us to live with fear and conquer rage. Heal the hate that makes us kill and covers the ground with this Red Sea that only you can part, so we may all walk through the wilderness to your realm of peace, where all men and women are one, and sing your blessed name. Page 40.
Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi chamocha nidava kodesh lo tehilot oseh felei. Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi chamocha nidava kodesh lo tehilot oseh felei. Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi chamocha nidava kodesh lo tehilot oseh felei.
On page 42, I invite you to read with me in the English. Bless our sleep with peace, Adonai, and awaken us to life when we rise. With power sublime, spread over us your shelter of shalom, and through your wisdom restore us, make us whole. Let your name proclaim your presence in our lives, be our shield, make us stronger than the enemies we face, illness and war, famine and sorrow, and stronger than the enemies in our hearts, wickedness and sin. Carry us to safety as on wings, for you are the monarch of grace, the sovereign of compassion. You are the one who cares for us and sets us free. Watch over us, we who go forth to life. Watch over us that we may come home in peace, now until the end of time. Baruch atah Adonai, haporeh sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed One, you spread over us a canopy of peace, a shelter of shalom over all Israel, your people, and over Jerusalem. Page 46.
V'shameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורות לריב עולם.
We have come to the tefillah beginning on page 48. I invite you, if you're able, to rise.
Adonai safatatita ufia giti hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Adonai, Eloheinu, Eloheinu, Eloheinu,
You may be seated. The next reading is on the screen, but not in your prayer books. I invite you to read with me. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. Page 64 again. I think this is probably not in the prayer book. No. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha v'yir'a na'avod. We come now to Hoda'ah, our prayer of gratitude. And so I would like to invite anyone who is feeling grateful for something today to put it in the chat if you're on Zoom, or to tell us out loud if you're here in person or if you're on Zoom. So I'll start us off. I am grateful that Michael Rose had a birthday yesterday, and happy to celebrate that with him. Patricia is grateful for the weekend and for sipping my drink, relaxing, listening in. Rob is grateful because he says voice is working. I don't know if he means his voice or if that he can hear us. Diane Figueroa is very grateful for a good medical report after some anxiety. Charlotte is grateful for a better week. And Diane Keston is grateful for the time she got to spend with her mother today. Someone in the room? Nathan? It's your birthday this weekend. Happy birthday to you also. Anybody else grateful for something today? Anybody else on Zoom? Oh, Diane.
Grateful for a peaceful week and good, dear, caring friends and family.
Amen. I can't see everybody at once, so if you're waving and I don't see you, use the little raise hand button. Is there anybody else? I can't seem to switch. Oh, Robert.
I meant the voice from the internet.
The voice from the internet, our voice. I am the voice of the internet. Yes, I mean, I'm glad too, Robert. All right. And for all the, oh, Irene, go ahead. Irene, can you unmute?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So my cousin who lives in Westchester has been fighting cancer for almost a year, and I was able to communicate with him through email. He's been very sick, no patience. His wife is taking care of him, and I finally got an email from him to
Irene? I think we lost you, but it sounds like you were glad to hear from your loved one, and so we are grateful for that.
You know, I'm grateful for something.
Okay, why don't you come over here
Oh,
so people can hear you.
well, I'm grateful and very excited to think that for these high holidays this year, my daughter Emily will be joining me for the first time to sing, and I'm very excited about that. And also, every minute grateful that Michael Tornick is here to play for us, like every single minute. So, very excited.
And in that same vein, Eslyn is thankful tonight for the mastery and talent of the pianist whose fingers seem to fly over the piano with such fluidity and sweetness, bringing the music to life always.
That's what you meant to say.
I meant to say.
Lori Pandolfo is grateful for a nice visit with Nancy Frost's granddaughter Madison today, and Karen is grateful that she will spend time with her son next week. There's always a lot to be grateful for.
Are they able to hear Michael?
Well, they must be able to. Can you all hear Michael on the Zoom, Michael Tornick on the piano? Yep, they are nodding. So my computer, probably because it's amplified, is picking it up. Yeah. All right, and for all these gifts, God of majesty, may your name come to be blessed and praised, our gratitude a daily offering until the end of time. And may all life resound with gratitude and faith in praise of your name. God, you free us and strengthen us. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose goodness deserves thanks and praise. Shalom Rav, page 70.
Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav.
Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. And now we continue quietly. We are at Tfilat Halev, the prayer of the heart. And it's our opportunity to take a few quiet moments to express whatever we need to express. There are words in the prayer book on page 72 and also 73 and 74 and 75. So lots of words in the prayer book if you need them. There are some words on the screen if you can see the screen, but this is really a time when we can also use the words in our own hearts. We continue quietly. We turn our thoughts now to those among us and those in our hearts who are ill and who are in need of healing of body, of mind, or of spirit. If you are on Zoom and you have names that you would like to add for the Misha Berach, for the prayer for healing, please put those into the chat, and I'll also give everyone an opportunity to add names out loud. We hold in our thoughts and in our hearts for healing this evening Dan Sacker, Ira Weiss, Allison Plummer, Rabbi Dara Lerner, Susan Sisler, Joellen Fox, Alan Fremer, Valerie Pace, George Landberg, Kenny Schweiger, Leslie Hirsch, Susan Bilecki, Dana Haitkin Nelson, Arlene Rosenthal, Michael Luck, Eva Braxmajer, Barbara Weiner, Joan Lifshitz, Elizabeth Lee, Genevieve Lightfoot, Amy Juskowitz-Soonseller, Deanna Roth, Jonathan Falkowski, Martha and Ed Vincent, Ingrid Grosso, Audrey Cohen, Eddie DeAngelis, Vicky Lightmaker, Nettie Trommer, Mia Gannon, Jerry Prezioso, Jeff Abel, Patricia Christensen, Monica Beyer, Patty and Erwin Cohen, Jerry Jaffe, Sandy Dan, Shayna Leah, Rabbi Joel Safin, Samuel Rhodes, David Froelich, Pat Jimenez, Rosie and Luis Rios, Albert and Theodore Galertner, Elliot Drucker, Charlotte Russell, Joseph Morrison, Helene Smith, Lori Gumenow, Joseph Mondano Sr., Nora Mondano, Deborah Rose Zern, David Wyckoff, June Friedman, Beth Price Dugan, Sandra Pastor, and Jay Karp. Thea Platt Glasser is also on our list. Thea has entered hospice care, and so our prayer for her is for a peaceful transition to the ultimate healing. Stacy and David Mauser, Hannah Paines, Erwin Bernstein, Kay Bonani, Richard Rose, Carol Rosen, Susan Lofranco, Ellen Greenberg, Bonnie, David, and Adam Brunner, Rebecca Fox, Meredith Futternick, Lila Fox, Amy Stavens, Hope Tomsky, Jody Siegel Stein, Saul Siegel, Sal Comiso, Lauren and Ian Silverman, Ed Robinson, Joanna Marie, Teresa O'Sullivan, Jimmy Jenkins, Chanel Kamabach, Juliette Dale, Elena Aram, Warren Feliz, Sylvia Solva, DeAndre Wynn, Jennifer Magoob, and for those suffering in many different parts of the world. Judith Kors, Batya Unger, Howard and Ara Poleski, Fred Lofstedt, Renee Bash, Fiona Callender, Joy Ojan, Merle Paisley, Sarah West, Laura Cricky, Susan and Tony Vi, Jean Green, Lainey and Larry Vinicow, Estelle Altork, Eve Heyman, Brenda McBasey, Sunny Frowine, Brenda Katroser, Fred Miller, Bill Eichler, Elliot Woofsey, Paul Markowitz, Joseph Morrison, Cindy Rabinowitz, Ann Kelly, Baby James Scarpulla, Dr. Craig Rosenbaum, those suffering from 9/11 related illnesses on this weekend's 21st anniversary of 9/11, and those wounded in Ukraine and other conflicts. Jonathan Dash and Maureen Dash, Tamia Bethia Williams, and Linda Kushner Silverman. Freema?
Nathan Imrani, Reva and David Cohen, Martin Bennett, Carol Beanstalk, Phyllis, Kathy's brother Gabby, Elliot Drucker, Shelley Belsky, Eleanor Teplitz, Alan Mandel, and Debbie has names. Talk.
Juan Acevedo, Adriana DeGori, Richard Kurlander, Ernie Montaigne.
Thank you.
Mickey? Can you unmute, or can someone unmute for you?
Barbara and Alan Horowitz, Ben and Sylvia McCormick, Phyllis Schwartz, Teresa O'Leary, Sandra Schimmer, and Martin Peggy Wolf. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda Kushner Silverman? Linda, can you unmute?
I'm sorry. Jackson Kushner, Tara Kushner, Ronnie Kaplowitz, Lavana Tenen, Shelley Samet, Sherry Jacobs, Phyllis Benjamin. Thank you.
Folks in the room, do you have names to add? Ruth? Janice? Alan?
Buddy Rebound, Miriam, Michigan, Karen, Michael, Howard, Michigan, Terry and Robin Moss, Americans still trapped in Afghanistan and New York City Police Department.
Mona? Nathan? We include also all of those who have been wounded in service to our country or Israel, and those who have been harmed in recent disasters, whether gun violence or natural disasters or in wars or other conflicts around the world, and of course those suffering from COVID-19. Hold on, we're having a little bit of interference, so let me take care of that. I think that did it. Page 77. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I'm glad to be here with you. I'm glad we figured out a way to get things going here, and we'll find out what went wrong later. In this week's Parsha, Ki Tetzei, we read, "If you see your fellow Israelites, ox or sheep gone astray, do not ignore it. You must take it back to your peer. If your fellow Israelite does not live near you, or you do not know who the owner is, you shall bring it home, and it shall remain with you until your peer claims it. Then you shall give it back. You shall do the same with that person's garment, and so too shall you do with anything that your fellow Israelite loses and you find. You must not remain indifferent." We are also told to get involved if we see someone in trouble. If you see your fellow Israelites' donkey or ox fallen on the road, do not ignore it. You must raise it together. If someone calls you in the middle of services, you need to check and see if it's an emergency that you need to answer before you just turn it off and put it away. I know, we all do sometimes. Noni's phone rang for those who didn't hear it. What really stands out to me in these passages from this week's Torah portion are the two exhortations: do not ignore it, and you must not remain indifferent. In this same Torah portion, we are ordered to leave the corners of the fields for the widows, orphans, and immigrants, that is, the poor, when we harvest, and to only go through our orchards and olive trees once. Anything we miss is left to be harvested by the poor. We sometimes consider it a duty or perhaps a privilege to mind our own business, to just take care of ourselves. Here in the United States, our culture of individualism would seem to support this. Do it yourself. Get the benefits yourself. Here in the Torah, we are clearly told that we cannot be only for ourselves. If we see a lost animal, we aren't allowed to remain indifferent. If we see someone struggling with a fallen pack animal, or perhaps a flat tire or a dead car battery, we aren't allowed to ignore it. This doesn't mean we need to get involved in every situation, but these two cases in our Torah involving animals can tell us that there are situations we aren't directly involved in that we could ignore if we wanted to, but really we should get involved. A number of years ago, when my daughter Shoshi, who just went off to college, still had a babysitter, the two of them were on a crowded subway train one day, and somehow, when they got to their stop, the babysitter got off and Shoshi didn't. She was in elementary school. She wasn't a tiny, tiny child, but she had no experience or comfort riding the train alone. Seeing that she was in trouble, a small group of adults who, it turned out, were teachers going home from school, stayed with her and helped her find her babysitter again. They could have ignored the situation, but they didn't. A few weeks ago, one of our congregants told a story from this summer on one of those very hot days when she became so hot on the platform that she fainted. A young man and woman came to her aid, stayed with her, and walked her home, which wasn't where they were going. They didn't owe her anything. They could have ignored the situation, but they didn't. And it comes to my mind another incident, again, some years ago when one of our congregants was here and a bunch of congregants were here, and a relatively new congregant received a notification that her house alarm was going off a few blocks away, and none of the rest of her family was around. And one of our other religious school parents just said, "I'm going to come with you to check it out," and just went. And they didn't know each other particularly well. He just did it. I know we're hearing a lot about rising crime in the subway and elsewhere, but let's remember that our city is also full of people who help when they see that someone is in trouble. There is so much that is happening in our country and our world right now, so many people in trouble who need help, and we can't pay attention to all of it. Our Torah tells us that we may not remain indifferent to the suffering of others. We may not ignore it. It doesn't mean we have to get involved in every situation, and it doesn't mean we can do everything. But we can not be indifferent. This is the Jewish month of Elul, as I mentioned earlier in the service, a month when we are urged to spend by beginning our process of cheshbon hanefesh, doing the accounting of our souls, and considering what we need to repent and atone for from the past year. I suggest that perhaps this week we consider times when we have ignored something, when we could have taken action to help. Perhaps we were too busy or were afraid to get involved. Perhaps not getting involved was the right choice, but rather than deciding that consciously, we were just indifferent. Probably for all of us, with our busy lives and the many demands on our time, there are times when we ignored or were indifferent, when we might have made a different choice. May we cultivate awareness to the needs of those around us and a spirit willing to help. May God be with us as we do so. Amen and Shabbat Shalom.
You're muted.
All right, now you can talk and eat and whatever you
Page 78. Our mission is to plant ourselves at the gates of hope, not the prudent gates of optimism, which are somewhat narrower, nor the stalwart, boring gates of common sense, nor the strident gates of self-righteousness, which creak on shrill and angry hinges. People cannot hear us there. They cannot pass through. Nor the cheerful, flimsy garden gate of everything is going to be all right, but a different, sometimes lonely place of truth-telling about your own soul, first of all, and its condition, the place of resistance and defiance, from which you see the world both as it is and as it could be, as it will be, the place from which you glimpse not only struggle, but joy in the struggle. And we stand there beckoning and calling, telling people what we're seeing, asking them what they see. We continue with the Aleinu. I invite you, if you're able, to rise. You may be seated. We turn our thoughts now to those who are no longer with us, our loved ones who have died in the past days or weeks or months, or in past years at this time of the year. I have shared the yahrzeit list for the coming week to the screen. Those of you who are here in the room have it in your bulletin. If you're on Zoom and you have names that you would like to add for the Mourner's Kaddish, you can put them in the chat and everyone will have a chance to add names out loud. We remember those who have died in the past year. Lucy Palazzolo, Blair Ford, Shlomo Nakash, Arlene Scher, Abraham Finkel, Ron Cricky, Mimi Karp, Rochelle Rolnick, Elaine Drucker, Matthew Brunner, Maddie Rosenbaum, Myron Jacobson, Lester Schenker, John Belay, Yefim Polyak, the Reverend Eleanor Lee McGee Street, Arthur Goldstein, Lotta Bloom, Irv Golden, Arthur Derry, Andrew Mazzella, Joyce Braziller, Linda Gilbert Schneider, Della Cohen, Fran Arnowitz, Selma Carl, Harold Carl, Emily Seth, Moshe Usher Reinitz, Huma Saber, Henrietta Kerner, Lila Bloomfield, John Carfisi, Andy Glantzman, Todd Zeitlin, John Previtt Jr., Augie Dorio, Janet Esposito, Kay Josephs, Arnold Block, Elizabeth Clark, and Kyle McGee Sr. Included on our yahrzeit list for the coming week are Joseph Fadum, Nancy Ostrover's father, Bernard Rappaport, Linda Ferber's father, Anne Resnikoff, Gail Resnikoff's mother-in-law, Saul Rosenberg, Jan Rosenberg's father, Ruth Rothman, Robert Rothman's mother, Jenny Salad, Grace Schneider's grandmother, Claire Salad, Grace Schneider's aunt, Pesha Tilken, Milton Platt's grandmother, and Samuel Wasserman, Barbara Wasserman's husband. We include also Ernie Biederman, Pauline Nagelberg, George Polidis. Wait, oh, no, I lost it. Those who were lost on 9/11/2001, those killed in Ukraine and other conflicts around the world, Terry Keston, Louis Fox, Stuart Wolfman, Olive Wolfman, Stephen Cross, Elaine Wilkinson, William Bouye, Robert Quinn, U.S. Navy Lieutenant, retired, Marshal Gerald Kaplan, U.S. Army Colonel, retired. Freema?
Mila Sankin, Robert Campanello, who died on 9/11. And I have to say one thing about my friend Lucy Palazzolo, who was like my sister. We knew each other for over 40 years, and she died on Tuesday. I just found out about it yesterday, and she was really such a great person. She battled bone cancer for, let's say, about a year, and I'm just so happy that she didn't die alone. She lived in Florida, and she was finally able to be at her daughter's house in New Jersey, and her family was with her, and she'll be missed. She was a great person, and she'll be missed. Thank you.
So sorry for your loss, Freema. Linda Kushner Silverman?
Joel Kushner.
Karen?
I just wanted to say that Carlos Dominguez, who's on the York site list, was a friend of mine and killed on 9/11.
Thank you. Freema, did you have something else to add? Unmute, please.
All right, Debbie's talking.
Here I am. Queen Elizabeth II, Father Michael Judge, Richard Perlman, Rod Grille, Lisa Weinstein Ehrlich. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone in the room? Alan?
Roy Ehrlich, firefighter Brian Milcher, firefighter Dave Sir.
We include also all of those who have died from COVID-19. As was already mentioned, those who died on 9/11/2001, and those who have died by other causes, whether in war or famine or terror or disaster, or alone and homeless on the streets of our cities. The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 86. I invite you to rise and join in or to participate according to your own custom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach yirteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayeh d'chol beit Yisrael, b'agala u'v'zman kariv v'yamru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach leolam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yit hadar, v'yit aleh, v'yit halal, shemei d'kudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush v'chata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to the bereaved wherever they may be. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated. I'd like to invite our president, Adrienne Knoll, to make announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Tomorrow, first day of religious school and religious school open house. That begins at 9:45, followed by services on Zoom and in person at 11 o'clock. No biyachad this week. Sunday, Brotherhood meeting on Zoom at 9:30, followed by a Caring Chesed committee meeting at 11. Monday, Gentle Chair Yoga. Tuesday, Women of Beshert are having their ice cream social in person and on Zoom. That begins at 7:15. Wednesday, there are two things going on. We are having a CPR AED training. AED is the automated external defibrillator, which we have just purchased for our temple. And the idea is that we want to train some active congregants and staff to learn how to use this, do CPR and use the AED in order to potentially help somebody who's in trouble. The temple's covering the cost of the training. If you're interested, please contact Faye. And this is taking place Wednesday, the 14th at 11 o'clock. It lasts about 2.5, 3 hours, and there's going to be a light lunch afterward. And then at 7:15 on Wednesday is a Board of Trustees meeting. First meeting of the new year. If you're a board member, please try to attend. Thursday, the 15th, 1 o'clock, Torah study with Rabbi Heidi. And then choir practice from 7 to 9. It was such a nice choir practice last week, and everyone had a good time, and everyone is already sounding great. So please be there. It's the second of 3 rehearsals. And then Friday, we are back here again. Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and have a wonderful week.
Irene Nashinoff asks, where is the ice cream social? The answer is it is in the community room, or if you don't want to come in person, you can come on Zoom, but then you have to provide your own ice cream. That's how that goes. Okay. We are going to close on page 92. And actually, is it in? Yes, it is. Od Yavo Shalom, page 92 at the bottom of the page.
Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Shalom. Salam Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Shalom. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam.
I invite you, if you're able, to rise. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'yasem lecha shalom. May God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine on you and be gracious to you. May God lift God's face toward you and give you peace. And before we go, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, everybody. There's a tzedakah plate on your way out of the sanctuary if you're here in person, and some entenmann's in the community room. Those of you at home, you'll have to provide your own entenmann's. But Shabbat shalom to everybody.